Warriors square the series at a game apiece, 109-104. Warriors get it done, and they got it done with a huge third quarter, outscoring them 34-21, opening that second half on an 18-0 run. Let's bring in Bill Ryder. And Bill, it was a 5-point game at the half. The Warriors would go on a 9-3 run to close out the half to go down 5. Then that 18-0 blitzkrieg in the second half to get things started. What was your reaction to their defense during that run?
Yeah, and really, great question. The entire game, such defensive energy from this Warriors team that we just didn't see in game one. The first 2 or 3 minutes of the game, they played ferocious and physical basketball, and the first 2 or 3 minutes in that third quarter, the same thing. And one thing we've grown accustomed to over this run for the Warriors the last 5 years is great defense and incredible third quarters. We've talked about this here on CBS Sports HQ. That is where the Warriors make their hay. They don't panic, and they tend to put teams away or come back when they played lackadaisically. In that third quarter, to me, it looked like vintage Warriors in game two.
You know, Bill, I was ready to write Andre Iguodala off there. He left late in the first half. Didn't think he was going to come back for the second half, but he hit for 5 points in that 18-0 run, and then that dagger 3 late. Now, what did he show not only his teammates, but the league in terms of how tough he is to gut it out for the Warriors?
I'm with you, and I thought he was out for the series, certainly the game, when he fell down and face planted on the floor for a long time, but Andre Iguodala is a guy who sacrificed to come to the Warriors, understood his role, was that finals MVP in their first championship, the only one they've gotten without Kevin Durant, and he reminded everybody, probably didn't need to remind his teammates, but maybe a wake-up call for the Raptors. He may not be a splash brother, he may not be Kevin Durant, we may not wait with bated breath on his every decision, but the guy is a grinder, he is a champion, he is a winner, and you're right. And not just the dagger, but he took it with time, still on that shot clock, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people would have waited or hesitated to run out that clock. He understood what a great shot it was. He didn't pause, and he did what he always does for the Warriors in the postseason. He came up big in whatever way they need him to, in this case, that huge shot.
And that stemmed the tide for the Raptors' last run. There was another run as well. They got within 4 points, and then Quinn Cook hit 2 huge threes for the Warriors. You know, the Golden State bench only had 4 points at the half. They finished with 25 overall. But what can you say about that reaction, getting it from Cook in that third quarter?
It's huge, and I think sometimes there's a notion that we think maybe there's not as much pressure on the guys that aren't stars, but the opposite is true, especially for this Warriors team, because they don't have the depth in the bench that they've had in the past. And that's just one of the realities of having Kevin Durant, the decisions they've had to make to bring him in. And anybody would take KD, but they don't have some of the depth that they've had in years past. And we saw, and you pointed out early in that game, a lot of Warriors missing big shots. And it was really, I thought, pretty brilliant by Nick Nurse. The Raptors go with a box-and-one defense, which I don't think I've ever seen in the NBA before. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't recall it. Somebody had to step up, and Cook's ability to hit those shots, it took a lot of weight off that bench. It just takes a lot of weight off Steph Curry. Give him a little bit of help, take a little bit of that pressure off,
Sure.
And he's usually going to come out on top with his teammates.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on the Splash Brothers in a second here, but I want to talk about Draymond Green. All-around game, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, and how about the defense on Siakam? He said he was going to take the onus after game one. Siakam playoff career high 32 in that opener. Siakam 5 of 18 from the floor. Didn't hit any of his 3 threes, had just a dozen points. What can you say about the performance of Draymond Green?
For those of you that were smart enough, and I wasn't, though I thought about it, to bet on Draymond Green as the finals MVP, it ain't looking bad, especially with the myriad of injuries for this Warriors team. And you're right. I mean, the guy is, A, he has a chance to be the first player in the history of the NBA to ever average a triple-double in the finals. B, he is that defensive stopper that they need. And you talked about what he did on Siakam and just the energy all around. And I think the third point is, sometimes you notice the Warriors, sometimes the bench, Steph Curry had the technical, not panic, they get frustrated, maybe they get out of the rhythm a little bit. Draymond Green's confidence, some would say arrogance, to me has always been an anchor to who they are and what they're about. He gets out of control sometimes, but his passion, his defense, his belief in himself and his teammates, I really believe, and I've been around this team before, they talk about it, he is the glue guy. He is the soul of this basketball team.
Yeah, good point there. DeMarcus Cousins, a surprise starter, Bill. He didn't give him much in the first game, didn't give him much in the first quarter. 2 quick fouls. He was back to the bench, but he ultimately gave him 11 points, 10 boards, 6 assists. What could you say about his impact in this game?
Yeah, and he was the big guy who hadn't played that many minutes in a while. He was winded at the end. He was one of the guys in the 2 quick fouls, probably because his legs aren't where they need to be, but he was one of the guys that set that tone defensively, and in the end, you're right, had a huge performance. And to me, what we saw from Cousins, especially when Klay went down and how banged up this team was, Steph Curry, whatever illness, or maybe just bad shooting, whatever happened in that first quarter, they needed someone to be a star. And all this talk the last few weeks about when Cousins came back, would it work, the plus minus when he was on the floor didn't work, misses the point, I think, that DeMarcus Cousins, when he's been healthy, if he can be healthy, he's a max guy. I mean, he was at one time a top 15, 20 player in the NBA. He's not a bench player. He's not a slouch. He's not a six-man. This guy on most teams in the NBA is your best or second best player. And to have that ability to turn to DeMarcus Cousins and get that kind of production, it was huge for a team that's missing stars and doesn't have the depth on the bench they need.
Yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned Klay, and he left in the fourth quarter, 25 points for Klay. But I want to talk about this team in general with regards to that health. Of course, KD, Iggy, Livingston as well. When you look at this run, not only this season, but over the last 5 seasons, the marathon runs year after year, how much do you suppose that's taking a toll on this team with regards to their current state of health?
It's a great question. I actually had a conversation with Isaiah Thomas, the Hall of Famer, not the guy that's currently playing in the game, from the Pistons.
Right. And
he talked about this, and that Pistons team won 2 championships in a row. You're right. We're talking about a group that's been in, a core that's been in 5 years in a row. And what Isaiah said is people don't understand the mental and the physical toll. You are playing really, really difficult basketball at the end of April, throughout May, into the midpoint of June, and you don't have that time off physically, emotionally, mentally. And that for him, he talked about was 2 years. He said 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, teams that have three-peated, let alone what this group is trying to do with the three-peat and the 3 and 4 and the 5 in a row. It is really, really, really difficult just to stay healthy.
Right.
And it's the exact thing that I thought when Klay got hurt, which was the only thing that I think can stop this Warriors team this year is health, but it's a real factor because they've been doing this for a long time.
We talked before the game about the fact that the other players, the non-Kawhis, if you will, stepped up in Game 1. Marc Gasol had 20 points. Siakam, playoff career high, 32. Looking at Gasol's line, 6 points, 6 rebounds. We talked about the defense Draymond did on Siakam. How much was that a focus for the Warriors heading into this game to take out the other guys, knowing Kawhi's a great player and he's going to get his?
Yeah, I think it was huge, and we've learned this about the NBA. One star alone isn't enough to win an NBA championship in the modern era, and if Kawhi had been able to do it with guys not playing the way that Siakam did in Game 1, because Siakam was a star in Game 1, they're unlikely to get it done, and Kawhi would be one of the first to lift his team and put a team on his back like that. But I also think for the Warriors, and they talked about this after the game, they talked about this in the lead up to Game 2, they understood that they played terrible defense in Game 1. They turned the ball over a lot. They gave up a lot of points in transition. So you're letting guys not named Kawhi Leonard get easier shots, get easy buckets, get in rhythm. They expected, and I think we saw this tonight, if they could play the kind of defense they're supposed to play. This is a great, usually defensive team. It's going to make it harder on the guys for whom it doesn't come naturally. Giving up, 104 points instead of 118 to this Raptors team, I think is a big part of the reason some of those non-Kawhi Leonard players for Toronto didn't shine quite as brightly.
Yeah, that's interesting because they scored 109 in the first game and lost by 9, put up 109 in this one and won by 5. When you talk about that confidence, you mentioned Draymond Green is the heartbeat of the team with regards to confidence, but a guy like Steph Curry didn't score his first bucket in this game till just under 4 minutes to go in the first half. Now, he didn't continue on that streak of 30-plus points for 6 straight games, which he had coming in, but finished with 23. Was there any ever doubt on your part that Steph was going to imprint this game at some juncture?
There was a little bit. You never know with guys when they're sick. I know that the standard we try to hold is the Jordan flu game, but that's just another reason that Michael Jordan is some kind of machine or alien from the future. When guys are sick, and we didn't know what was going on with Steph at that point, I thought there was a possibility that maybe he wasn't going to be able to be himself. And then he hit that first three in the second quarter. Then he hit a second three in the second quarter when he started getting it going. I thought, all right, whatever's going on or wasn't going on, he's going to be just fine. And Steph's interesting in that way. Amazing player. I think Steph's incredible. I voted for him twice for the MVP. All the accolades you need. But he's a guy that needs to be in rhythm. He's incredible with the ball. He's incredible without the ball. But we've seen this before. When he gets hot after not playing well over the course of a game, big game, small game, he can really get on fire. The minute he started to play with a little bit of confidence, hit some shots in that second quarter, I thought, all right, the Steph we expected is coming, and so is probably that Warriors third quarter run.
Yeah, that Splash Brothers combined for just under 50 points in the game. He's Bill Ryder with some insight here. Following the Warriors' Game 2 win to square the NBA Finals at a game apiece. Bill, we appreciate that insight. All right, again, the Golden State Warriors even the NBA Finals at a game apiece. Their head coach, Steve Kerr, is at the podium.
Which was mid-fourth, and we gave him a couple minutes and then got him back in the game. But he was fantastic, and we needed everything he gave out there: his rebounding, his toughness, his physical presence, getting the ball in the paint, and just playing big like he does. We needed all of that, so I thought he was fantastic.
Phil.
Hey, Steve. Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. That 14-0 run to start the third quarter, we've seen some big third quarter runs from you guys, but how do you put that one in context amongst the most important you've seen, and how much of that do you think was keyed by the defensive intensity?
Yeah, I mean, it was the big point in the game. I thought just staying in the game at the end of the second quarter was also very important. I think we were down 12, and place was going nuts. We couldn't score, and Steph and Klay both got loose, and the game loosened up a little bit, and we scored. We weren't exactly making stops, but we cut the lead to 5 and could kind of breathe at halftime. And I think our guys felt renewed life at that point and came out and just had a great run to take control of the game, and we were able to finish it out from there.
Tim in the back right.
Steve, Tim Reynolds with the AP. Two things. One, you said Steph and Klay, but Steph got loose. What was it that was bothering him early? Did you ever get any clarity on that? And secondly, did you have a feel at halftime that you guys were going to put together one of those spurts to open a quarter like you have so many times?
I mean, I couldn't have envisioned 14-0, but I liked our position. It felt like we should have been down by a lot more than 5, and for the first quarter and a half, we really had a tough time scoring, and so the last whatever it was 4, 5, 6 minutes, the game loosened up, and we finally broke free and started getting some buckets. We started to look like ourselves, and so at that point it just felt better. And then the second half we got it rolling, and we ended up with 34 assists, which is more like our team. And so it was a great win. Now we got to go home and protect our home floor, and we'll see about all the injuries. But I'm very proud of our team, and in particular all the guys off the bench. Quinn Cook hit some huge shots, and Bogut came in, gave us big minutes. Jerebko as well. So it's a hell of an effort from the bench.
Mark here in the front left.
Steve, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. Love to get your impressions of the final possession where Iguodala hits the open three. First of all, the scramble on Steph, the nearly intercepted pass, and the fact that the Raptors allowed a guy like that to take an open shot, and the fact that he took it with time remaining on the clock.
Well, I mean, you're not going to let Steph Curry take the shot. So they double-teamed Steph, and that left Andre open, and he had hit another big one earlier in the game. Anytime Andre can make a couple threes, it's huge for us. It loosens up the game. And I thought his play in the second half was really inspiring at both ends. He did a fantastic job, and he's hit a lot of big shots in the finals before, so he was unfazed.
Tim, back left.
Tim Cuck on the Athletic. Steve, you moved Klay onto the Kawhi defensive assignment. for kind of freeing up Andre maybe off the ball. Do you think that had a difference? And what was the thinking behind that?
Just wanted to change the look. You know, both teams have a lot of versatility defensively, and both teams have been kind of switching matchups and changing the look. And we felt at halftime like it made some sense, so we went with it. And whether that was it or not, I mean, we just got into a good groove defensively to start that third quarter. And you know, so we'll take a look at the tape and assess, you know, what we see. But it was a great third quarter effort. Held them to 21 points in that quarter.
Back right.
It's to Coach Dan Devine from The Ringer. You mentioned needing everything that DeMarcus was able to give you tonight. If you come out of this game with some questions about Klay and about Kevon, are you going to need more from him moving forward? Do you feel comfortable with his, you know, sort of his health, physicality to be able to get more from him moving forward in this series? From DeMarcus. From DeMarcus. Yeah, he feels good in there right now, and you know, we have a couple days before Game 3, so we do feel confident that we can continue to get good minutes from him, and we're going to need them, obviously, with all these injuries.
And in the back.
Steve, Ann Killian with the San Francisco Chronicle. Just to go back to Steph for a second, there were reports that he left the game in the first quarter and that he was battling some kind of an illness. Can you fill us in on that?
I think he may have been a little dehydrated, and that was the word I got. He just was feeling a little bit lightheaded, and went back into the training room and came back and was doing much better. So I'm not exactly sure beyond that. So that's all I've got for you.
Last two quick ones on this side right here.
Steve, Dan Weinke with the Los Angeles Times. Can you just kind of expound on sort of the totality of the team during that run? You mentioned Bogut, but like Cook and Livingston, it seemed like you got something, McKinney, from every one of those guys in the third quarter. And how important is that going to be moving forwards if you guys are as depleted as you leave the game tonight?
Well, that's what it takes. You know, you need your bench no matter what, but in particular when you've got a lot of injuries. So we'll just continue to go to those guys and trust them, and they've proven that they can really help us. You know, Bogut hadn't played in the first game in 3 quarters, so what he did was fantastic out there. Gave us a little different look with that lob threat. So we'll see what we've got and tee it up for Game 3.
Last question, next behind.
Steve, Arash Madani from Sportsnet. You mentioned that Andre's unfazed a few years ago was so big for you in the finals. What is it about him on this stage in these big games and the big moments where he delivers?
He's just got a lot of experience. He's done everything in his career. He's been in the Olympics. He's won 3 rings. He's been an all-star. He knows how to play. One of the smartest players I've ever been around. And I think he sensed that we needed his production in that second half, and he came alive. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Nurse will be next.
It's Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr. He mentioned the injuries on a night they lost 2 more players. They evened the finals at a game apiece. 18-0 run to start the second half. 34-21 they outscored the Raptors, and that was the difference in the game as the series heads to the Bay even at 1. This team got it done. 109-104. They square the finals at a game apiece. And again, it's that run. Bridging the second and third quarters, 27-3, 18-0 to start the second half. Let's look deeper into that one. 8 of 12 from the floor, and you could see along the way they were playing some defense as the Raptors couldn't hit a shot in 8 attempts. They couldn't get it from downtown as well, and 5 turnovers from Toronto. So in a nutshell, that run was the difference in this game. The series square as they head to Oakland for Game 3 Wednesday at 9 Eastern. Nick Nurse, Toronto head coach, at the podium.
A little quick when there was something else, maybe just a little bit better open.
Michael here.
Nick, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. Sort of on the flip side of that, you look at their assist totals, really like 34 on 38 or something, and it seemed they were able, DeMarcus especially, was able to find guys on some back cuts, and there's a lot of stuff in the dunker spot looked open. Is that just a function of just, you know, pick a poison and trying to hug them at 3, and they're going to have space to use?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously you got to get up on those guys flying off the screens, you know, Curry and Thompson. And they did a really good job of getting out of there with speed tonight, those guys getting downhill. You know, and again, a lot of those were just probably mistakes by us, right? Weak side mistakes or just a half step too slow. The other night we got away with a few of those where we were a half step too slow, but we would kind of somehow recover out of them. Tonight they were really getting downhill quickly. They took it off the dribble a lot better too. You know, it just wasn't, the second half especially, just wasn't nearly as physical of game as we've seen in the playoffs. It was just hard to move and body a little bit tonight, and it caught up with us a little bit in the second half.
Towards the center.
Coach Louis Atzman, Raptors Republic. Those last 5-6 minutes, there wasn't a lot of scoring. What were you thinking? How were you feeling down that stretch?
Well, I was feeling really good because we stopped their scoring, right? And finally got something figured out there to slow them down. And we were getting a bunch of wide open shots. I think we missed 3 wide open threes in a row there to cut it to maybe 4, right? And maybe it was 5. I don't know exactly what it was, but bunch of stops in a row, and we didn't get much to show for it at the other end. But you know, really proud of our guys for fighting and battling. The ball was not bouncing our way at all, right? I mean, even on the last play, Kawhi, who just got 3 incredible offensive rebounds in a row, they almost threw it right to him on that one, and they got through his hands somehow, and then they end up kicking out for that 3, which, you know, we're probably gonna live with that there, because if he misses that, we get a rebound to tie or win the game.
Right here in the front.
Nick Malaysia-Hernandez after London. With the series tied going into Oakland and no longer being on home court, what are the prominent focal points that you're going to bring over to the next couple of games?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the same boat there, kind of. We're in coming here. You know, we got to go out there and get one, right? That's all we got to do is get one, and we can do that.
We're going to go Reed and Mark here. Last 2 questions.
Hey, Nick, Reed Forgrave with CBS Sports. Your guys' half-court defense has been dominant this entire playoffs. It wasn't as dominant tonight. There were kind of some holes here and there. What did you think was, I don't know, the one missing element, specifically in the half-court?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, our half-court defense is, first of all, it's about getting it set up. Right? There was a lot of quick possessions by them, again, probably due to our offense. So that's the first thing. Second thing, our half-court offense is very physical, and it wasn't very physical tonight.
Mark, last question.
In the right way. And then, again, we just made some weak side mistakes.
Sorry. Mark, last question here.
Nick, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. I'm wondering if you could take me through the final possession, especially the fact that Iguodala shot it with about 5 seconds left on the clock, and the fact that he was so wide open during that possession.
Yeah, I think, you know, we scored the basket, and look up and there's 26.4 or something left. That's a definite foul situation, right? They can hold it all the way to the end, throw it up there, hit the rim, and the horn's going to go off. I've been in that situation before. So usually under 28, if there's 28 or more, you're going to play solid defense. If it's 27.9 or under, you're not. We're trying to foul. We had a couple chances there on Draymond, I think Livingston, and then back to Draymond, and then Curry got it, and we didn't want to foul, but we put a good blitz on him, and we almost made him throw it away. And I think if they're going to take a shot and give you a chance there, I'm going to probably live with the one that ended up being taken. I'm going to probably roll with that. We should have fouled before that, but like I said, he misses that. We call timeout. We go down with a chance to win the ball game, unbelievably somehow.
Steph said after the game to Doris Burke that he thought it was, in his words, disrespectful to leave a player like Iguodala that wide open. What did you think of that?
Well, we weren't disrespecting anybody. We were up guarding hard, and we put 2 on Steph, and he almost threw it right to Kawhi, right? Pretty good defense. You know, they were scrambling around, running around like crazy, but and they found Iggy, right? They found him. And like I said, if he's gonna take that and give us a chance to get the ball back and win the game, we're gonna probably live with that. It wasn't like we were disrespecting him and not trying to guard him. We were in a trap and rotating out of there. And again, I'd like to go back and try that again about 10 times and see if one of them doesn't go our way.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks a lot.
Confirm Warriors for the.
The Warriors were outscored Sunday night in 3 of the 4 quarters in Game 2, but the third quarter was the difference in this game. They outscored the Raptors 34-21. It began on an 18-0 run to begin the second half. It means they have a road win in 23 straight playoff series to square the NBA Finals at a game apiece as they head to the Bay. More NBA Finals coverage on CBS Sports HQ after this.
On the right.
Robert Littal, BSO. In Game 1, you talked about how you was going to take personal responsibility on Siakam to make sure that he didn't kind of blow up like he did in Game 1. Can you talk about the job that you did on him tonight and how you was able to slow him down?
I mean, just try to be more aggressive. You know, I wanted to set a tone on him and, you know, not let him get in the rhythm early. And saying that, you know, I didn't box and want him, you know, and chase him around the floor like Richard Sherman does some guys. Like, you know, that's a complete team effort. You know, I tried to do my job when I was on him, and everybody else stepped in and did their job as well. I think, you know, getting back in transition was huge, but, you know, overall, we threw several different bodies at him, so I can't just come up here and be like, yeah, I took him out the game. Like, that's garbage. That was a complete team effort.
Arash over here on the left.
Arash Madani with Sportsnet. Draymond over here. Steph scored 12 points in the last 4 minutes of the half. You guys get it within 5 at the break. Then you go on that tear. What happened in that sequence of time, in that 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after the half, that allowed you guys to take over?
We got stops. We took away their transition buckets, and we got transition buckets. You know, we always say we're at our best when we're getting. That's our best offense when we're getting stops and we're pushing the ball. Obviously, Steph was great, you know, in closing out that half for us. And, you know, I think we should have been down by a lot more than 5 points. But when you're going in, you know, into the half down 5, we know we can cover that in 10 seconds, you know. So, you know, our mindset was great coming out the half. And, you know, DeMarcus was big to start the half. And everybody was just moving without the ball. And, you know, we pushed the ball in transition. It was big for us.
Standing in the back right.
Draymond, Dan Devine from The Ringer. Picking up on that point on DeMarcus, I'm wondering, you know, when you found out he was going to be starting tonight, you know, what were you thinking about how that might change the way you guys were able to move on offense? And then what did you see from him as the game progressed? Did it seem like he sort of got into rhythm, got going as the game went along?
He did. You know, that's once again, you know, DeMarcus hasn't played much basketball over the course of the last 18 months. You know, so the more he plays, the better feel he gets. You know, tonight he was huge for us. You know, Coach. You know, putting him in the starting lineup, I think, was big. You know, obviously they want to attack him on the defensive end, but you watch the film, he didn't give up much on the defensive end in Game 1. And similar to tonight, he was great on both ends as well. So, you know, and allowed us to play through him some in the post. You know, they got to honor that, or, you know, we know what he's capable of if they don't.
Mark, right here in the front.
Draymond, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. Steph, after the game, said it was disrespectful of the Raptors to leave Andre wide open for that shot, given his pedigree. What did you think of that last possession, the way Andre shot the ball with that much time left on the clock, and the fact the Raptors didn't get a foul?
Well, I didn't think they were going to foul. You know, they were trying to get a steal. They were trapping Steph. Steph outletted the ball to me. They came with a trap. You know, but I think as big as Andre's shot was, you know, we've come to expect Andre to hit big shots. You know, since he's been here, you know, I've seen him hit several game winners. I've seen him, you know, put the icing on the cake of several wins. But the way Sean Livingston met that pass, I think, you know, no one will write about that. You know, we all got a joke amongst us of bad receivers and good receivers. I always call Kevin a bad receiver. I always call Sean a bad receiver. He turned into Megatron tonight for that pass. It was big for us.
Okay, next question.
Hi, Draymond. Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News, Philippines. What would be the Warriors' next game plan to avoid some of the mistakes that were made on defense and offense?
I mean, you're always going to make mistakes. That's just the nature of the game we play. You're playing against, a great team. They're in the NBA Finals for a reason. They're going to force you to make some mistakes, but it's about the effort that you put out there on the floor to overcome those mistakes. And, I think we did that tonight. You're never going to play a mistake-free game. None of us are expecting that, but you try to minimize the mistakes and take advantage of, the opposite team mistakes.
Dan, on your right.
Opposing team mistakes. That was bad.
Dan Feldman, NBC Sports. You took a lot of personal responsibility after game one, and I think we could see early in the game you stepping up. Yeah, near halftime, you guys are still down 10. What's going through your mind at that point?
We was down 5 at half.
No, I said near halftime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when they got to 10. What's going through your mind at that point? Are you trying to do even more, or do you just figure if you keep this up, it'll turn around?
I thought if we kept it up, it'd turn around because, when they went on their run, I think they went up 12. We had 3 or 4 possessions where we got great shots, and we just missed them. I have, faith in our team that if we continue to get, we always talk about just getting a shot every time. We're good enough to where if we get a shot every time, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win. So, we weren't turning the ball over. We was getting good shots, and you live with those results. Obviously we got a, good swing there to close out the half, and, the third quarter, we really dominated that quarter.
In a game like this, where you have so many opportunities to guard so many different types of players, how much do you enjoy that challenge?
I enjoy it a lot. Guarding Kawhi is different than guarding Pascal, and guarding Pascal is different than guarding Kyle Lowry. But, as a defender, as a competitor, I relish those opportunities to make an impact on the game on the defensive side of basketball. I understand how important that side of the basketball is, and, no matter who I'm on, I try to, make sure I have a big impact on that side.
Thank you, Draymond. Fred VanVleet will be next.
Draymond Green, we talked about the defense helping to hold Siakam to 13 misses from the floor. He was just 5 of 18 field goals, and you see what he did on the offensive end. Nearly another triple-double, 17 points, 10 boards, and 9 gives. The NBA Finals are even at a game apiece as the venue heads back to Oakland. More finals coverage on CBS Sports HQ after this. Golden State Warriors square the NBA Finals at a game apiece. Steph scored 23. DeMarcus Cousins gave him a double-double, and that duo is at the podium.
I want to come in and help the team with whatever's needed. And when I step on the floor, I'm going to leave it out there.
Again, lap back left.
Logan Murdoch, NBC Sports Bay Area. DeMarcus, you went through 2 catastrophic injuries, particularly with the quad most recently. What is it in your DNA that wouldn't let you miss this season?
I want to be on this stage. This is what I've worked for my entire career, to be on this stage, to have this opportunity, to play for something. But once they told me I had a slight chance at, being able to return, it basically was up to me and the work and the time I put in behind the injury. It was up to me. So, I put the work and the time in, and with God's grace, I'm able to be out here and, play the game that I love. So, with that, I've told y'all before, I don't take any of this for granted. I've seen how quick this game can be taken away from you. So, every chance I get to go out there and play, I'm going to leave it on the floor.
Tim, back right.
Steph, Tim Reynolds with the AP on this side. You guys have used the strength in numbers mantra now for a long time, and have there been too many more nights where that might have rung more true than this one? Steve said that he was thinking DeMarcus's cap would be 20 minutes. He played almost 30. Quinn Cook making the threes. Andre obviously with the shot that won it, and there's a shot that sealed it at the end. Strength in numbers, I know it's been around for a while, but tonight it had to mean a lot more than maybe it has a lot of nights.
Yeah, I think when you get to this stage, like our DNA shows up. So it's not something you just just throw out there to have nice shirts and give out to the crowd at Oracle and have all this marketing stuff. Is literally like how we approach every day from training camp to June. So how we support each other, how guys stay ready throughout the year, whether they play like you said, 30 minutes or miss, 10 straight games out of the rotation, whatever it is. Coach always talks about it, that everybody's going to have a chance to help us win a championship at some point, and just to stick with it and be patient. And it shows itself over the course of a season. And tonight was huge. And we need 3 more wins, and we need it to keep going. But that's a part of who we are in our DNA. It's not just what we say.
Mark here in the front.
Hey, Steph, Mark Medina, Bay Area News Group. It was said on the broadcast that you're entering the game dealing with some kind of illness. Wonder if you can kind of shed light on anything in regards to that and what you try to do to fight through it.
It just didn't feel right, but to start the game. But end of the day, nothing's going to keep you out from playing in a finals game if you can help it. So I have plenty of time to recover before Game 3. Don't really know what the cause was. Just didn't feel right.
Arash over here.
Steph, over to your left. Arash Madani with Sportsnet. That third quarter, not only the run, but the fact that you were getting contributions from DeMarcus and Quinn Cook and Bogut and just kind of everybody being a part of that. How much did that ignite things for you?
It pretty much won us the game because we established our defensive presence. We got stops, and everybody got involved in the offensive end. And when you come to the timeout after a couple runs like that, and everybody's involved, whether they're scoring or setting screens or making the assist or whatever the case is, everybody feels good, and the vibe is just solid. And we know that we've taken control of the momentum, and then it's just about sustaining it down the stretch. So obviously third quarters have been great for us. Game 1 couldn't get over the hump, but tonight was a different story because of our defense, and everybody contributed to that.
Standing in the back right.
David Colon, CTNI, Puerto Rico. Stefan, how important is you keep your faith up more than you go to San Francisco? You keep your faith up with your teammates to the rest of the series.
The free up my teammates?
Yeah, you always have your faith up. How important is you have your faith up? To
my faith?
Your faith up with your teammates for the rest of the series.
Oh, I got confidence and faith in everybody sets foot out there on the floor, and they have the same in me. So again, whoever's out there, contributing and playing, we'll get the job done and have fun doing it.
Back left.
DeMarcus, Jonathan Cho with DIA-TV. Where would you say you are at physically right now? How close are you to being 100%? Because you're still recovering from your injury. Where do you feel like you're at right now?
Bro, I really don't know. I don't know.
Gray sweater here on the left side.
Steph, Kemal Bozkurt, HaberName.com, Turkey. I hope you'll be this time final MVP, but if you will not be, are you going to be upset or you'll be still happy?
I want to win a championship, and that's all that matters, my man. Appreciate it, though.
Thank you, guys. Kawhi Leonard will be up next.
Golden State Warriors getting big gains from both those guys. DeMarcus Cousins, after playing just 8 minutes in the opener, 28 minutes in this one, a double-double with 6 assists along the way. Now, Steph's streak of 6 straight 30-plus point games snapped, but he still gave him 23 points. Klay, though, 25 in all, though he left the game with that hamstring strain. Warriors even the finals at a game apiece heading to Oakland. Golden State Warriors even the NBA Finals at a game apiece in defeat. Kawhi Leonard, 34 points, 14 rebounds. He's at the podium.
We didn't score the ball in like the first 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. Obviously led to them getting out in transition early and, a lot of layups and open looks. and that was pretty much the game right there. Went on like a 15, 18-0 run, I believe, and you can't do that with a championship team on the other side.
Bit different this time around. I mean, you guys were really fast game one. Did things kind of flip around game two?
I mean, I can't say that. I mean, I feel like our pace was good early. It's just that third quarter, I feel like it just really killed us, you know what I mean? 18-0 run, if we can't score no baskets, you're not going to win no game.
Again, same row.
Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News Philippines. The Warriors have a lot of injuries. Will that affect the team's chemistry, the Raptors team's chemistry? Or do you feel that you will take advantage of that?
Not really. I mean, we still got to go out and make shots and guard guys that's out there. Everybody's in the NBA. These guys have a high basketball IQ. I mean, obviously them missing Durant, it's a big loss for them. But, I mean, they won the game tonight.
Any other questions? Michael over here on the left side.
Michael Lee with The Athletic. Kawhi, how much do you lean on just your past experience in the finals? And how much do you share with your teammates, going in 1-1 or going on the road?
Just obviously just take it one game at a time, you know what I mean? Finals is not going to be easy. The only thing that matters is the four wins. Once you get it, 2 wins, 3 wins, it does not matter. Just take one game at a time and, just play through the adversity.
How much does your respect grow for a team like the Warriors, just the fact that they were able to get all those key plays down the stretch?
I mean, it's a big respect for them. They've been here the last 4 years, won the last 2. And, I mean, you got to just take the challenge. Great basketball team. You got to go out there and accept the challenge and, want to fight and win.
Thank you, Kawhi.
Yeah.
This concludes the session here for tonight. Travel safe, everyone.
There's Kawhi's performance in Game 2. 34 points, 14 rebounds. So he was getting it done, but a key point in this one, Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, who gave him 52 combined points in Game 1. So they gave Kawhi Leonard some support. Well, that duo combined for just 18 points in Game 2, a huge reason why the Warriors have even the NBA Finals.